Aussie.
And there we go. Starting off the week's streams, NAIDOC week. Hello, everybody who's already in the chat. Megaleech, Fox, hello. Good to see you. Fox, when will my that's a good question. When will my booze order from the other night come in? Hopefully this week. Be good if I had it for tasting on Thursday or Friday night when I feel like doing some tasting. Would be good. But we'll see. I haven't got a notification yet that it's en route. I got the order confirmation, then they normally send another email when they say, oh, hey, we've done the order. It's on its way. Here's when to expect it. I haven't got that email yet. So, but, you know, hopefully Thursday, Friday. Hello, Celtic King. How you doing? So, yeah, we'll see. In the meantime, I'll make do with this. Wow. Ooh, that's interesting. That is essentially a clarified rum sour, which I've technically never made before. Has Captain Morgan spiced rum in it. Very interesting flavors. Very vanilla. Hello, Ian and Silumi. And yes, happy Tuesday. Oh, what day? So I talked to ADSy today and the other day, actually. But today he was saying he wanted to join us. So I emailed him the link for the stream. So we may or may not see ADSy tonight. In fact, what I'll do, because I emailed him, I told him I'd email him, and he might have got distracted or lost sense of time or whatever. If I don't hear from him, after a while, I'll actually text him and see if that gets him here. But, you know, something might have changed. He did say the reason he hadn't been here for a while is he wasn't feeling great and he didn't want to bring the mood down. But, you know, I think he had a good night last night, and so he's in more of a mood to come on tonight. So, yes, he did want to join us tonight. We shall wait and see if he actually shows up. So here we go. Yeah, it's got those very vanilla notes from Captain Morgan. It's not bad. It's as is typical for milk clarified cocktails. It's interesting and a little bit weird. So it's that. Yeah, I hate to be the bearer of bad news, Ian, but it is Tuesday already. We're passing Tuesday now, moving into Wednesday. Well, this is an interesting one. The potential future of the vaccine rollout, even though anything the federal government says is absolute fucking horse shit. They've failed at every stage. Anyway, so they met senior health officials. So if you're under 40, you could be getting a vaccine by September, more likely October. So based on everything that's happened so far, more likely December, quite honestly. It's expected supplies of Pfizer will bump up from around 600,000 a week to millions a week. Well, we'll see. If you're over 60, the advice is to get vaccinated ASAP and AstraZeneca. I'm going to get my second AstraZeneca in 4 or 5 weeks. As supplies of Pfizer become increase and Moderna becomes available, Those vaccines will be offered to anyone in any age group. I hate that they put a fucking military dude on it, and that's just theatre. Morrison and the Liberals are fucking garbage. So Ian, did I hear Paper Mashi wants to go to Japan after roasting others for going overseas business meetings? Okay. You mean the Queensland Premier, right? Yes, that's tied up in the whole Olympics thing, as I understand it. So, Salimi, you're not coming back to Victoria till second semester because you don't trust outbreaks. Well, yeah, anything can happen anywhere, really. So, I fucking hate that Morrison put that fucking military guy to front this stuff. It's like such fucking horseshit. I'd actually like a medical professional. Thank you very fucking much. You could get a job at work. So they think it's likely, like as lots of workplaces do flu shots, they think it's likely it'll get to the stage where that's happening with COVID vaccine as well. So that might happen. Incentives are on the table. Other countries gave people free beer, eggs, or even cash for getting vaccinated. Two kinds of incentive being considered: policy incentives and handouts and novelty things. Concerns extreme weather could affect rollout. Yes, floods and fires could make everything go a bit skewy. Medical students might help out. Paramedics. Ugh. Seriously, the federal government is so fucking shit. Yeah, Sulumi, I think incentive to not get COVID should be the big one. But people are being dicks. China accuses Australia of COVID-19 vaccine sabotage. Australia been planting consultants in PNG to obstruct authorization of Chinese supplied vaccines. Australia says, no, we didn't. I mean, the Chinese regime, does lie and do propaganda. But then again, the Australian government has a shocking track record for lying about what fuckery they're up to in the Pacific as well. So who knows? Who knows? Seems unlikely to me. Ian, I don't think there's any credible evidence that there's any strain of COVID that's not significantly blocked by the vaccines. So I wouldn't worry about that yet. But the future, probably. So Celine, what did you do? Grow spring onions from the roots in water and they've taken off. Nice. And hello, Chris. You're recuperating from Freedom Day, Chris? As Apu says, celebrate your country by blowing up a small part of it. I have to admit, I've been in the US on the 4th of July, and blowing shit up is fun. I'm well into it. See you, Celtic. And hello, Luke. Yeah, the No, actually, I've been to the US more than 2 times, but 2 of the times I've been there, one was 4th of July and one was Halloween. And they were both fucking excellent. Like the way the Americans go way, way over the top with Halloween. I can absolutely, like literally spending billions. I can get billions on costumes and decorations, then billions more on candy. You can get it. So, Chris, you had Freedom Day by the pool, but you weren't allowed to blow things up. Is that fire risk? I heard a couple of places had banned fireworks because of fire risk, which seems unusually sensible. But yes. When I was there for 4th of July, we were traveling between Vegas and Colorado because my ex, she had family in both Vegas and Colorado. We'd been in with the family in Vegas, and then everyone was doing a road trip to Colorado. So we stopped at a roadside explosives seller and bought some explosives, and it was lots of fun. I'm a pyromaniac, basically. I see that, Chris. The entire West banned fireworks, but no one followed the rule. Fair enough. Tradie Trev, hello. Looking to invest in new names for our inland community between the Great Dividing Range and the sea. Okay, that's intriguing. Is that a thing, or is that a lead into a joke? I'm never quite sure when someone leads in with someone that almost looks like it could be the setup for a dad joke. Also looks like it just could be you telling me something that's a real thing. I have trust issues, so I don't know if you're telling me a real thing or if that was a setup for some type of dad joke, which I'd be okay with. I don't begrudge any dad jokes being set up. So if that was your plan, I mean, go for it, because I'm all for it. Any other weird things? Oh, yeah. Julia Banks, ex-LNP member, now just saying how fucking shit the LNP is for women. Big surprise. Big freaking surprise. Oh, I like this. The Guardian ran this thing that they thought was super clever. Scott Morrison is the Billy Joel of Australian politics, a hollow master of pastiche. I fucking hate Billy Joel, but I still think that's a bit rough. But Scott Morrison's the Milli Vanilli of Australian politics, a complete fucking fake and a fraud. And nothing about him's real. Yes, I dislike Scott Morrison a lot. I think he sucks. Not in a good way. So, hey Raiders, how's it going? Sorry, I missed something, Luke. What's been retracted? Ooh, Chris having a pesto pasta. Nice. I like pesto. Raiders think Scott Morrison hates Scott Morrison. I don't know. He's pretty fucking delusional. Tradie Trev, Caboolture, home of the carpet snake. I like carpet snakes, though. For those unfamiliar, that's a large-ish Australian python. Like, not anaconda size, but not small. I kind of think Scott Morrison's full of himself, actually. Fish Lives, hello. Hello. Finishing off my Achiro's cocktail. Just to give myself some fridge space, really. Good solid bottle, these. Could hurt someone with it. But I shan't be keeping that bottle. I have an excess of bottles because I kept some nice bottles. I've even got probably too many stoppers now, but I might keep the stopper anyway. Raiders, carpet pythons certainly can be large. Like I said, not as large as anacondas, but I think they can easily get to 3 meters. Easy. But yeah. Fish lives matter. Yes, I want to hear who you met at work yesterday. I hope with the lead in, it's something interesting. But you know, whoever it was, I'm interested in hearing about it. Oh, so Creative Trip, you are getting a name for a new suburb. Okay. You go with that tired internet joke and submit suburb McSuburb face. Yes, I'm no good with naming things. Actually, I think I just made that apparent. I'm not good with naming things. Ah, the owner of Lord of the Fries, the guy who's doing stealth vegetarianism. I don't think Lord of the Fries is vegan. Do they use? I think they might use dairy cheese, but I could easily be wrong. But I always was fascinated that Lord of the Fries never drew attention to the fact they don't have any meat products. Like they were selling various burgers and stuff where you could be forgiven for thinking they were beef burgers or chicken burgers or whatnot. But no meat products. Like you think there should, you want there to be a bus route to suburb McSuburb face. Chris, you want the suburb to be called Crossroads? It's not bad. Yes, well, if caboolture means carpet snake and you want something a bit less threatening than a snake name, my suggestion is rename the suburb Cassowary because they're nice and friendly and totally harmless and not at all prehistoric dinosaur murder birds. All right, Fish Lives, it is vegan now. It used to be vegetarian. That lady, she said she started the franchise with her husband. Nice, yeah. I always thought it was funny. They never actually drew attention to the fact they're selling vegan food. So a bunch of people who think vegans are dumb would have mistakenly, drunkenly purchased their product. That is true, Luke. Most bus things, although with the LED ones, their destinations do actually scroll past. Jay, do you think you should relate to the pricks that killed massive red gums? Well, you don't really want to commemorate total pricks. Yes, Silumi, finding out what First Nations people called the area would be a good name for the suburb. I agree. Fish Lives, you were one of those people who didn't realize they were eating vegan food. And look, speaking of strange, toxic Australian things, it's 80. Look who's arrived.
There you go.
Good, matey. How you doing?
Red, yellow, black. I like it.
Yeah.
Speary sun. But then, today was a grey day. So it's appropriate that we have a speary sun.
Yeah.
I'm doing okay.
Good.
How are you doing? How is everyone doing?
I'm doing good. I love the
haircut. I think it's very sexy.
Okay. Partly, I did get a slight haircut, which you might be noticing. Also, I'm considerably overdue to wash my hair, so it's sitting a bit funny as well. But
it's sitting good. Don't wash your hair ever again. Just let let yellow crap come out of it. I do. The chicks love it.
Yeah.
It smells like cheese. They so it smells like dicks. Let it go, Azy. So hi, how are you? I haven't quite got my camera just right. I've got to sort of do it sort of kind of if I sit here, maybe that'd be better because
It looks fine. It looks fine.
I know I'm a little bit picky about my appearance at the moment because my mind's all over the place.
Sure. That's fair.
I'm on the iPad, you see, because it's fabulous, and the camera, when you put it sideways, is on one side of it, that side of it,
Right.
so according to you, right? And as a result, it effectively points at you sort of sideways, so you've got to kind of move it and you around to get sort of centered, and it's very disorienting because clearly our camera is not mirrored, and you know what that's like because when I pointed angry, I fucking made it. I did it. I've got to point away from angry. But we've done this before. We've said this before many times on this here very live stream event to very many people. Yes, it's always a bit of a head fuck to get used to again. I am very pleased to be back with you good people. I have to say that I have been having a fairly torrid time of late, so I'm sorry I've been away. Happily, that torrid time resolved itself fairly well yesterday. So you're seeing me on the other side of the birth canal.
Right.
And so, as you can see, I'm probably not got as much sleep as I could have, and I've not shaved for a little while, and I probably could get a haircut, which I will do all of these things when the time is right. I did, however, buy a new pair of boots today because my podiatrist told me to. No, I'm just listening to doctors and doing what they say. My legs are no longer leaky. I no longer have leaky legs.
That's a big one.
There's no holes in them. It only took 2 months, and there's no holes in my legs, which is different and good because it means I can shower every day. It's amazing what a fucking luxury showering every day is when you don't get to for a while. Because I could only shower on the days when I was getting my dressings fixed, and it was like twice a week, and I was going, I'm a bit stinky. It's been 4 days and I haven't had a shower, and I'm getting a bit I got to do a lot of talking to myself. So I've had some very interesting headspaces to be in, but I think you'll be seeing a lot more of me.
Good.
And I think it'll be useful, and I think it'll be worthwhile.
Good.
I had to manipulate a good many people while I was away. And as you are very well aware, Dr. Angry, I am very good at manipulating people. And years ago, I promised that I would only manipulate people for their own good and my own good as well. You know, obviously, it's not a fucking charity. But I had to pull out some of my better tricks recently, and it all came together. And fuck me, it was looking fucking dicey there for a while, but it didn't. AZ scored a win.
Okay.
What the fuck? So, yeah, very happy about that. There might even be a sponsorship coming shortly.
Okay.
If it's of any quantity, I'll let you know. Beyond that, I did some really interesting work with writing.
Okay.
I've been researching doing good dialogue, and I've worked out by watching the same animes over and over and over again, which is a good way to make yourself fucking nuts. With us, okay. First rule was I had to actually enjoy them. Like I didn't watch Fruits Basket over and over again, because that's that's tantamount to making yourself suicidal. I watched fairly good ones, but what I was doing was I was going, righto, what are the kids into these days? What's hip? What's now? What's wow? What's that? And dialogue runs on 15-second bursts, and it wasn't clean, and I couldn't work out why. And it was not clean because there's a 4-second crossover at the end of every 15-second burst. So there's 15 seconds, 30 seconds, 45 seconds, minute and a half monologue, and then 4 seconds of crossover to the other character. Now, that can either take the place of silence or a interrogative or a expositionary. That was fucking the big breakthrough, and I could stop fucking timing anime and just fucking settle into watching Netflix, which is good.
Cool.
Yeah, so I've done fuck all in the last couple of days, which has been fucking awesome. Yourself?
Just been, chilling, still doing the working from home thing. Been watching some things on Netflix and such, as you say. Finished, because there was only 6 episodes, first season of a series called The Nevers, which is set in London at the end of the 19th century. So it's, Gothic horror thing. And something happens, and people are touched by light from this thing that goes over. So, and it gives them powers or mutations. It's lots of good. It's weird. What I didn't realize before watching it is it's a Joss Whedon show. It's created and first couple episodes written by and directed by, produced by Joss Whedon, who we now know is a fucking piece of shit.
Really? And, what happened there?
No. It had been basically clear for a number of years. He had always abused his position to bang the ladies who wanted a career.
Really?
No, that had been known. That had been known for years. But a couple of stars from Buffy and Angel came out and just said he was an abomination and a monster. And the writing was on the wall for years. So he's a complete piece of shit. And probably the most telling one, the first person to come out and go on record as saying like he made my life a misery and tried to destroy me was the hot chick from Angel. She was a minor character in Buffy. Her acting name's Charisma Carpenter. She just detailed just non-stop bullying and abuse from Joss Whedon, and then several others came out and said, yeah, that's the thing that happened. To me, the thing that absolutely buries him is Michelle Trachtenberg, who played Buffy's little sister, said, she's not going into detail, but they ended up with a clause in the contract that Joss isn't allowed to be alone in a room with Michelle again. And the again speaks to a non-disclosure agreement. And she's communicated that by saying there was a written contract that said he couldn't be alone in a room with me again. So she hasn't. That to me makes it almost definite there was a non-disclosure agreement about something.
Yeah, for sure.
And she was like 15 or 16.
Yeah, I was going to say she was a fucking early teen.
Yeah.
When she started there. I mean, she was playing younger, but she wasn't out of the mid-teens when she started. She was like only 14, 15 when she started.
Yeah.
And fucking hell, that's just fucking well, shows what a shithouse judge of character I am by just watching press reports. That ScoMo guy is really nice.
He is, yes. Just want to say hello to Big Pat as well, who's very keen
Big
to.
Pat. How you doing?
But because Joss Whedon had, portrayed himself as a feminist for ages, but had been absolutely using his position to stick his dick in all sorts of places. But there was never any claim that any of that was non-consensual, just that it was an abuse of his power and his influence. Now
fucked.
Basically all the Buffy cast have come out and said he's an absolute fucking monster.
Wow.
So that's not good. So I felt
disappointing too, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because I've
absolutely
fucking enjoyed Whedon's stuff. For years and years and years. It's not okay. The first entertainment monster I ever found out about was John Lennon, and I remember I was very young at the time when I found out all his tricks and jibes and the shit he got up to. It was horrific, and I was just devastated when I found out that this guy that I admired for being such a talented guy was a fucking monster. And as time goes on, we find out more and more and more about John Lennon. I mean, there's a point to where it stops because the poor fucker got shot, but he was a fucked up human being, like a truly fucked up human being.
He was a violent abuser.
But he was a very violent abuser who was sucked into being extraordinarily wealthy at a young age, and as a result, no one said no to him since he was about 21. And when that tends to happen to people who aren't grounded or who already have some level of damage and fuck-uppery about them, they are unstoppable. You hear me complain about baby boomers all the fucking time. And mostly it's because when they were all 15, they all got jobs because there were fucking heaps of work around. It was all union protected. They all got fucking minimum wage. They got entitlements, and they were an economic force to be fucking completely. They were an economic tidal wave. So they didn't get told no since they were late teens. And it shows today in their behaviour. I mean, they're all old now. They're all in their fucking 70s now, but they still fucking act as if the world fucking revolves around them. And I remember when you and I were in our 20s, we kept on getting a lot of shit from these people for not achieving enough. And I couldn't work out what was going on until years later when I did some analysis and figured out it was about they'd spent their parents' money, they'd spent their own money, they'd spent our money, and then when they came back to the well, it was dry. And they were shouting at us, going, "Where's all your money that I want to steal?" And it's like, well, you made us do casual jobs with no benefits so that you could have productivity and put everything on the bank card for free. And this is what happens. We get all poor and we don't buy your stuff. When you have rental properties that you want us to buy, we don't, because we can't afford shit. This is the generation of guys who went around with very short haircuts because basically 4 guys would buy an electric set of clippers and you'd share it because, you had $5 each and you'd buy a $20 pair of clippers and, you'd share it around 4 guys. And that was our 20s, right? So you get these people like John Lennon who had a righteously fucked upbringing, and then he gets all this money and all this power because the Beatles essentially had pretty much creative control over what they did, and they could pull chicks, they could do anything they wanted, they could buy anything they wanted. They had no limits to them. And the only limits they had were themselves, which is why they tore themselves apart. McCartney essentially raised Lennon's eldest son because Lennon would fucking leave him alone in fucking London or in, somewhere. And he'd end up, McCartney would end up ringing up Jules and go, "Jules, where are you?" And go, I'm at home. "Who's with you?" "No one." "How about coming out to mine?" And he'd get there and McCartney go, "When did you last have dinner, dude?" "Oh, it's like 3 or 4 days ago." "Why don't you hang out with us for a while, yeah?" And yeah, McCartney eventually virtually raised Julian because Lennon didn't give a fuck. And when Lennon went to America, he didn't take Julian with him. And it was only really toward the end of his life that he reconnected with his own son. And it was like fucking hell. But then you get the other side of the coin, which is like Björk. Have you ever seen interviews with Björk?
Mm-hmm.
She's a very, very different human being.
Yes,
she's
she is,
working
definitely
on a place that is not the same as you and me, as a lot of people. I heard her do the Christmas address to Iceland once, and she said, "I was going to show you a Christmas tree that I made, but then I read about that and found out that it was just a ceremony that was stolen from the pagans. So I was reading books from scientists and found out about how electricity comes to us. And I've got this power station here and the electric power lines that come down to the city." And she built this fucking model of the power grid of Iceland. And that was her Christmas message for Iceland. And it goes for about 15 minutes. And it's like, what the fuck are you doing? It's like, I mean, she wasn't, it wasn't ugly or horrible. It was just fucking
it was
there.
weird.
It was really far away from anything that you just look at as going, okay, right, I know you're getting at something, but I'm not seeing it, which is why she's probably able to make such very different music with very different film clips. And and she's produced some amazing lines. I know most women who heard the song at the time would laugh and repeat the line, "If I hear you complain just one more time, you will face an army of me." And that's one of the best lines she's ever written. And you hear women even today going, "Yeah, fucking yes, yeah, I know that one. I'm fucking yeah, Björk, fucking A." It was like when the Triffids brought out "Goodbye Little Boy."
Yeah,
it was a hard year in college, that one. Anyway, so we're finding out all of these fucking celebrities are horrid individuals. And that freaks me out. I've been sort of half-assedly researching J.K. Rowling and her transphobia, and I still haven't quite got to grips with that. There's still bits of it that doesn't make any sense, but I'm still looking at it.
But again, being a TERF doesn't make sense. It's a weird emotional reaction that is completely disconnected from reality. And it takes on the air of morality and a crusade, and it's very unhealthy. It's very unhealthy. I mean, besides just being wrong, it's one of those things that tips people into crazy town, basically.
Yes, very much.
Because
very easily, very quickly. And
they think it's just a social issue. And at first they think the people opposing them are opposing them because of different views on social issues. And then they go, but science and biology is on my side. Then the scientists and biologists say, no, we're not.
No,
it's like your brain didn't evolve past the incredibly simplistic version of biology you were taught in high school. You know what we don't teach you at school? Anything complicated.
Because they literally call science in high school lies to children.
It's just like dumb shit so you get basic concepts.
The basic idea. You will have all seen the model of the atom, where you've got the nucleus in the middle and you've got the orbiting electrons. And they're all in neat orbits. Now, these days they're a bit better in the sense those orbits are at least in concentric circles around the nucleus. But in reality, what it is a cloud of where the electron might be. We're fairly certain at any one point. So you've got the nucleus, and then you've got this layers of cloud of bubbles, of wave bubbles around the atom. And if you have it like that, then valence works beautifully. The connection of the way that we know that atoms connect with chemistry, because what you can do is you can share the rhythm of the waveform of the potential cloud between two nuclei, and have it nice and stable. And you can make double, triple bonds, and you can make triple nitrogen bonds, which if you break, you blow shit up. So they call it lies to children. And I was listening to a podcast, and it was the guy that was in the rock star that was the astronomer who did all that TV.
Brian Cox.
That's Brian Cox, and he was saying that he's these days really conflicted about lies to children, because it gets people into science and past the difficult start, but the most interesting bit is when you get past lies to children and get into where it's really at. And unfortunately, if you don't explain it really, really well, people just get lost and they walk away, and they hate it now. And he was saying it's way too beautiful to just ignore. And you've got all these physicists saying that the trouble that they're having, and they are seriously having this trouble, this is a real thing in physics right now, is that physicists are going, physics fits mathematics so well that it shouldn't.
Right.
You can explain pretty much all physics with mathematics. Why? That makes no sense. And these physicists are having a lot of trouble with this. They're going, why would fucking numbers that are a made-up concept that we made up fucking a lot of years ago to count sheep be so elegant as to explain the universe down to fucking 9 decimal places? What the fuck is going on there? And Feynman said something interesting once, and he said, and other people have said this as well, a fish in a puddle says, isn't God wise to form this puddle perfectly for us, so that we may live and be thankful for the puddle? Clearly the puddle was made for us to live in. And he says that's a problem that humans have, is that they want the physics particularly and their world to be explainable to them, about them and for them. And you've got to remember that we're usually somewhere between 4 and 6 feet tall. I'm doing that in imperial because a lot of our members will know what that is. So between 1.5 and 2.1 meters tall. And we compare everything to us. It's got to be in the visible light spectrum. It's got to be in the radio frequency spectrum that we can measure. It's got to be big enough so that we can see it, and not too big so that we can't see it. And it's got to be small enough so that we can see it, but not so small that it is too small to bounce wavelengths of light off. You can't see quarks. You will never see quarks. They're too small to emit light radiation, any radiation. They're smaller than Planck length. I could be really wrong there. Dr. Abigail
is not here to fight with you. She's not here to fight with you.
Dr. Abigail won't smack me for that one. But anyway, what I'm saying is that we compare everything to ourselves. So there are some physicists at the moment going, mathematics is only explaining our world because we have chosen to measure things we can see. And there's probably a lot more shit out there that we don't know about. And there's other scientists other physicists especially, to go, no, mathematics is way too uncannily good. The thing that really bothers everyone, and does bother everyone, bothers the shit out of me, for example, is that quantum physics and Einstein physics don't work together. They don't agree with one another. They are both correct utterly correct.
They both have
proved correct.
As I say, they both have evidence to support them. As not just
warehouses of fucking evidence.
Not just pointy-headed people telling us these things. There is quite considerable evidence to support both of them.
But they don't. They can't work together. There's just no fucking way they can work together. But they're both real. Quantum physics is about as real as it fucking gets, and special theory of relativity and theory of relativity is about as real as it fucking gets. We know that we can't see outside light cones. We know that. We know that nothing goes faster than light. We will never know what happens in the universe outside of our light cone. It's too far away. We will never experience it. It will never come to us. The universe could be burning to the other side of the light cone, and we wouldn't fucking ever know. Our bit of the light cone might be cool, but on the other side, it's like, nah, shit, it's fucking boring. It's a shit party. I don't even want to go there. Let's go to Earth. No, we can't. Why not? Can't get there. It's too far outside our light cone. Well, it's far. Yeah, it's far. So, that fascinates the shit out of me. And what it basically says is that but somebody said it nicely to me once. She said, actually it was a she said, all it means is that our theories are not complete. And to make our theories complete, we're going to have to put in a lot more thinking outside of the boxes we've already got. And she said, and that's hard because the boxes we've already got make nuclear bombs and jet planes fly. And that's pretty powerful shit.
It is.
That's really convincing shit. But so it's hard to go, oh no, that's not right. It's like, kind of is.
But it's the thing. It's like no matter what your worldview is, as it stands at the moment, if you're at all honest, you have to say there are things that are beyond our current level of understanding. And that goes, if you're a science rejecting Christian, you just embrace this unknowableness of God. But if you're a proper scientician, you go, oh, you know what? There is stuff that is literally outside what we can process. We might get there eventually, but particularly concepts like time and whatnot. When you really think about it, the concept of linear time as we experience it makes no sense. It absolutely makes no sense. Because where did everything start then? It's like, and where does it end? But so linear time can't be a thing. That's what we're experiencing, but that can't be everything. That can't be everything.
We measure it because of, damn you, Boltzmann. We measure it because of empathy. I know it's totally off topic, but I have to ask guys if the situation we talked about Sunday night is okay. Nobody. That situation we talked about Sunday night actually worked itself out yesterday. So
all right, that's the same one we talked about. I think it might have been.
Because
it worked out.
Last little difficult bit that had to figure out. That was the last very, very awkward piece of AZ's life is about to turn to shit if it didn't. And it did work out. It worked out really, really well. So thank you very much for your inquiry. Yes, basically we measure things because they are in comparison to us. We measure time because we experience heat death. It's called entropy.
Entropy.
And that's why glasses don't unshatter when you drop them on the ground. They, time goes one way.
Entropy increases, yeah.
Gravity
Unless you watch the movie Tenet, which I'll have to get you to watch at some time. That's the most recent Nolan film. The guy who did he did those Batman films for a start, but he did the weird trippy ones. The
hang on,
Inception. Yeah, go. You come back. Hello, Hellion. Hello, Kirsten. Okay, guys. I think you might applaud me. I don't know if you saw this post, Kirsten, in the Steve the Bartender Cocktail Crew on Facebook. Someone said something about, I've got to explore more gin because, I found out there's more than 6,000 gins in the world. And I'm like, I'm pretty sure there's 6,000 gins in Australia. Unless what they meant was 6,000 distilleries, and that'd be one thing. But yes, so AZ, as I was saying, got to get you to watch the movie Tenet, which is the most recent Nolan film, which apparently upset a lot of people because they couldn't understand it. Because without giving too much away, these people, there is a technology that reverses entropy, which essentially means you move backwards through time. And in sort of controlled bursts, like there's one bit you'll see in the trailer is like when someone's trying to show this guy what it means, she's like, they're in a shooting range and there's like a stone wall with bullet holes in it. And she goes, pick up the gun and pull the trigger. And he goes, and a bullet comes out of the wall and back into the gun. And there's like, it's a future technology. Someone has got this future technology coming back to our time, and there's this secret organization trying to work out what the fuck's going on. And because they sort of slowly ease you into there's a weird thing happening, and then he just takes the handbrake off. And because people can be going both, not an individual in this thing can't be going both ways at the same time, but people in the same environment can be going in the different time directions, which is super weird. And
they can oppose each other awkwardly.
Yes. And of course, if you're going in a different time stream to someone could have told you exactly what happens here. So then you can do in the entropy reverse time stream, and you know exactly what happens at certain points and can just insert yourself at certain points to control the events for the person who's going in our concept of forward time. Kirsten, you saw Tenet. What did you think of Tenet? Because I always think it's funny when people complain because they didn't understand something, like, oh no, the filmmaker treated you like you're intelligent. Oh no.
No. Didn't
As opposed to this
everything,
one
you bastard.
Yeah, this one that's on Amazon Prime that's just come out. It's got Chris, what's his name, who's in Guardians of the Galaxy, the Marvel film. It's called Tomorrow War, and it's got a time travel thing, and it's dumb as fuck. It's like its beginning thing is really stupid, and then they just pile the stupid on top of stupid. And
I hate that.
But it's like, okay, honestly, it's like if you come give it to me and I look at it and go, okay, here's why everything you're proposing in this script is dumb as fuck. Get back to the first thing that happens. Let's make that make sense, and then carry on from there. And have the things make sense instead of have them not make sense.
A lot of years ago, a very good friend of mine made me read the book Altered Carbon. And I read the book Altered Carbon and thought, that's a very interesting fucking story. And then I've just managed to snaffle a Netflix fucking password, like I said. And they made a fucking TV series out of it. And I went, cool. I saw the anime and I went, okay, no, I see what you've done there, but it's really different from the book. But then I saw the TV series and they followed the book really closely, and then they said, fuck it, it's gone, we'll make another series. And they just kept going. And they do what you're talking about very well. They make things make sense one after the other.
And they're very confusing concepts in altered carbon. It's got to do with being essentially immortal and your consciousness being inserted into different bodies.
Sleeves.
And sleeves, as they call them, and different sleeves being
they have
augmented.
Such contempt for their own body. Only their consciousness has any reality for them. And if it's not stimulating their consciousness, they don't care. So you get two very different kinds of people. You get the people who can afford to be immortal, and you get the people who can't afford shit. And they get used by the immortal who are bored. They're hundreds of years old and they're bored. And this is the society that's happened, and it's caused all of these poisons to happen. And that was made very clear in the book. But in the TV show, I think they did it even better, frankly. The first line in the TV show is, we found the secret to explore the stars and to spread across the galaxy. But what we found is we took our worst monsters with us. And that's the very first line of the TV series. And that explains it all. It fucking explains it all. And when you see some of the depths to which their writers have gone, you go, fucking you went there. What's weird, though, is once you get into the second series and you see multiple versions of the same person having multiple gendered sex with another person who is the same, it was a different person, and you don't care anymore because you know it's that person, and it fucking gets to your head a little bit, because in one of these arcs, one person is 3 different sleeves, and she goes back to her husband as 3 different individuals, and one of them's a guy, and one of them's a completely different woman, and the last one ends up being her original, but the guy whose wife it is basically accepts her as her and has no difficulty with the gender swapping, has no difficulty with the race swapping, has no difficulty with any of that, because it's the person that he knows, and he has no
it's quite good. And even just the fundamental premise of altered carbon I like is basically saying, if you think the split between the 1% and everyone else is bad now, imagine if those cunts were immortal, and how much more disdain they'd have for everyone else, how much more separated they'd be from everyone else.
If they are.
And they are. They cease to be human. I mean, it's borrowing more than a little.
The message is they cease to be human.
It's borrowing more than a little from William Gibson's original Neuromancer trilogy, where here's the thing where the rich are living on a fucking satellite and they're being immortal because they're cloning themselves and whatnot, and they're indulging in behaviors which no decent human is going to countenance, it's just because it's again because they've become so separated from what it means to be human,
and they're indulging in these behaviors because they can. They clone. It doesn't matter if you hurt this individual because you can clone up another one. It doesn't matter. Who cares?
It's kind of like Anne Rice's vampires. The ones that live for hundreds of years, They get so bored and they've got so much ennui. They try literally everything over the centuries. Like, it's not possible to shame them or embarrass them because they've been around for centuries. They've had time to do everything. Everything.
They've literally done it all. They have seen and done it all. You know, after a while, they just are looking for the new thing, not to get bored. They kind of sort of did that a little bit in True Blood, in the sense that what ended up happening was the vampires there, because they lived so anciently, it was about power and money. All they were about was power and money, because there's nothing else. There's nothing else for them to do but be about power and money. And you know, all of the meat bags that were running around as form of food didn't quite catch on to the fact that they were completely irrelevant to what was going on in the vampire world.
Also, like, it's why I like the Vampires in 30 Days of Night. For those who never watched it, the Angry Aussie channel, that's one of the videos we watched together. I mean, because we did so many, I don't even know if you remember, but it's one of the most violent vampire movies ever.
Well, I had to watch it again because I was concussed the first time we saw it. I didn't remember it.
So basically, the vampires in this are hundreds of years old Euro trash, and but they come up with this idea. There's a remote town in Alaska that for 30 days is complete night. And it's kind of like they read about it on a travelogue or they got a Lonely Planet book that talked about this town that's cut off from the rest of the world for a while, and it's in complete darkness for 30 days, which is, paradise for vampires, 30 days of night. And so they deliberately isolate this town, cut off its communications, and then they play a bunch of weird... There's this initial mass slaughter where they kill 3/4 of the town, but a few survivors escape. And for the rest of that month, the 30 Days of Night, these creepy old vampires just play weird, fucked up mind games with the survivors. Because it's just interesting to them. It's like, well, yeah, we've lived for a long time. Sure, we kill people and drink their blood. You know what would be different? If we strung it out for a month and had these people just freaking
totally
out for a
mind
month.
fucked.
They weren't getting daylight for a month. And I'd really like 30 Days of Night. And it's super messed up. The comic that it's based on has at least 2 sequels. And I'm really surprised they never made any more movies.
See, the thing is, you'll hear me saying a lot that I like watching movies where the insides of people stay
on the insides
of people, and not on the outsides of people where the outsides of people should be. A lot of that's from personal experience.
Yes, you've got a lived experience that speaks to that. But it's like that Mormon who wrote the Twilight books, and she ends up saying like, I've never watched a vampire movie. I seriously wanted to Clockwork Orange her, strap her to a chair and have her eyes pegged open and have 30 Days of Night playing like on an IMAX screen in front of her. So it's like you can't even turn your head.
I remember being sucked into watching one of them and seeing sparkly vampires for the first time, and I went, what the fuck is this? Right, and I was doing that screening at the TV thing when you think you can hear you. And when I was married to my lovely wife, she used to she would like crochet or knit or paint while we were watching the news, and I'd shout at the news, and she'd say, "They can't hear you, dear."
Yes.
And then she'd up it a notch and go, "They can't hear you, dear, but the neighbours can." And I'd like, yeah, all right, okay.
I love the idea of that if the neighbors were watching the same news as you and something particularly egregious happens on news, and then they suddenly hear you scream, "What the fuck?" and they're going, "Yeah, what he said, yeah."
Yeah, what? This guy's on it. Yeah, he's all over it.
Yeah.
We watched some Angry Aussie and see him scream a little bit more at Abbott. Fucking hell. I had a terrible experience early on in my fucked a few weeks. When I got gangrenous, I was lying in meat all day. Meat juice was dripping out of me all day, and it's really nasty when it smells bad because it's like the foam at the bottom of the meat tray.
That's what you're talking
you've
about.
left in the bin a couple of days. It's that, and it's I mean they do change your bed. They're great about it, but I mean you can't move, so they have to log roll you, and that takes like 6 people, and you can't get 6 people to do that every 20 minutes. So you only get 3 of those a day, and for the rest of the time you're just in nastiness. And I had my leaky legs, which were pretty nasty, to be fair. But there's this poor guy that came in, and he was coming in at the same frequency as I was to get his dressing changed.
Yeah.
And he turned up to his doctor with a boil on his back. And his doctor said, "Oh, all right, look, I'd better lance this because it's a bit big." And he did, and he went, "Oh, I think you should go to hospital now." And he did, and they pulled the cancerous tumor out of his back.
So it was a cancer, not a boil. Yeah.
There was a boil in the cancer.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of nice that the boil alerted you to it. Yeah.
Okay.
It's kind of nice that the boil alerted you to it.
Fuck.
When you say that, I just think about the war boys in Mad Max Fury Road, where most of them are only expected to live to about 20 or early 20s because of pollution and whatnot. They all get cancers. And Nux, the one who ends up with Max and Furiosa, he's got 2 growths on his neck that he's drawn little smiley faces on, and he refers to them as his mates Larry and Barry. But he knows they're tumors and they're going to kill him.
They're going to kill him. So this poor guy had this cut out, and one of the nurses that was dealing with me had to pack his wound every day. Well, dear friends, I'm going to do the Russian dance, the Fukovsky, so I'll see you all next time. See you, nobody. Thanks for coming, man. Good to see you, dude. Have a good one.
Always good to see you.
We'll talk, actually, because I'm getting close to being useful.
You say that, but
I say that. And yeah, so this poor guy had to have this thing packed, and I smelt this thing, and I went, "Oh, I know that smell.
Yeah,
I know that smell." And I just went, "Oh, you poor bastard." And apparently the thing that they cut out of him was just enormous. And it was horrid. And then it got infected. And I can't do what I said. Say, Kirsten, I was just finished, by the way.
All right. I can stop him from talking about that anymore.
I was going to say that's over.
But you're also free to go if that is where your life leads you now. I'm just saying.
That's completely fair.
So this
poor guy had that, and it was awful. So yeah, I like movies where the insides people stay on the inside.
Yeah.
However,
So that's always good. I mean, what did I see that was nice and agreeable? Oh, okay. There's a new Disney movie, like Disney animation called Raya and the Last Dragon, which was nice. It was cute. I watched that with Mrs. Angry. It was very cute. It's set in like a fictional Southeast Asia, all these different nations, and it's some indeterminate time in the past where magic and dragons have existed. So all the characters are from slightly different Southeast Asian nations, but it was great. It was like good Disney. It was cute. It was funny. It was beautiful, it was a good, solid script and whatnot. And
Moana was a lot like that too, actually.
Yeah,
like
there's a new Pixar one.
Elements of South Pacific nations in.
Yeah.
And did a pretty good job actually. Very beautiful. I mean, ever since Pixar reverse took over.
Except that it is still the two different animators. A Disney one is still different to a Pixar one. But you're right, Pixar, because Disney was creatively dead.
Yeah.
Disney, the company, had more money than God and bought Pixar, but it was a reverse takeover. Everyone at Disney said, please, God, come in and tell us how to actually make something.
Us do something. We're dying here.
Yeah.
And they were just, I mean, when Pocahontas came out, everyone said, what the fuck have you done?
I don't know. Some people like Pocahontas. I don't, but some people do. Although it's got memes. The best meme ever came out of Pocahontas, and it's when one of the Indian chiefs comes out and says, "These white men are dangerous," and someone's captioned it, "European history summarized," and it's. It was just like, yes. But there's a new Pixar too, which I haven't seen yet, but I've heard good things about. It's called Luca, and it's set in Italy. So it's like in like a Corsica. It seems like it's like Corsica or Sardinia, like down south, fishing village, and these two kids who are actually aquatic creature, whether they're mer people or whatever. If they go up on land, they look like people. If they get wet, they look like these aquatic creatures. And then, because this is a fishing village, everyone in this village catches and eats things from the sea. And so there's that tension going on there. And these kids are caught. It's like, literal fish out of water stuff. Like these kids who are actually from an aquatic world walk up to an Italian fishing village and try and fit in, but they're literally fish out of water at this stage. It looks good. I haven't watched it yet. I might even watch it this weekend. It looks good. But yeah.
Hey, I was going to ask you a question.
Yeah, throw it in. No.
Well,
okay,
I got
you
a phone
go.
call today from Tasmania.
Lucky you.
Said, your Amazon Prime is set to... We're going to take $79 off you and this year, and then I hung up because I figured it was a scam. But
yes,
okay, but
classic scam.
So what were they going to get me to do?
They say they're going to charge you for something, and they want you to either talk to them or call them back and say, "Hey, I don't have that. Don't charge me." And they go, "I'm so sorry. Could you give me your bank account details and we'll reverse the charge?"
There you go.
It's the same thing. Young Mr. Angry comes out to me one day and goes, "Did you buy a camera from Amazon?" And I went, "No." And he goes, "I just got this text saying you're about to be charged, $1,500 for a flash digital camera." And I went, "Oh, scam." And he went, "I thought so. I just checked." Because I do have an Amazon account and I occasionally let them buy things on it because it's Prime, so they get free shipping and shit. And he said, "Oh, yeah, I thought might have been legit." You go, no. And I said, "How it works, you say, hey, God damn it, I never bought that." And they said, "Oh, give me your credit card details and we'll reverse
and we'll
the charge.
Put the money back in."
Yeah.
And turns out they don't.
No, it's a big shock. They don't. Oh, you missed this. Okay. Jesus, I had a big fucking weekend. Friday night, young Mr. Angry finally got to have some of his friends over for a belated 21st because his scheduled 21st party dropped right in the middle of our last fucking
lockdown. Yeah.
So, but and because we're allowed to have 15 people in the house, he's actually split. He goes, I've actually got 2 sort of distinct friend groups, and I'd invited them all to one party. So if I split it, then I could have separate parties with the separate friend groups. So he had one last Friday.
Why
and he's
not?
having one this Friday. Yeah, and they're a top bunch. He seemed, yeah.
I have no problem with that.
It's top bunch. So Friday night was his party here. So I did a stream while there was a really loud bunch of 20-somethings in the next room, like doing bad karaoke and shit. So, and they were great. They had a good time. They didn't break anything. They didn't, and they were just really loud. And it was also Abigail's birthday last week, and so we had a birthday celebration stream on Saturday night. I went over to Abigail's place on Saturday night. Yeah, I know you missed it. But that's okay. Yeah, no, you would have, but it's okay. I went over to Abigail's place and we streamed from there on Saturday night. So I was very tired after two parties, 2 nights in a row. And I had a reason for bringing this up. What were we talking about before I started talking?
You said you had a fucking massive weekend.
Yeah, and before that we were talking about TV shows.
We're talking about scams.
Scams. That's why I'm bringing it up. Abigail's place, like very late at night, she gets a WhatsApp message that says, I've just arrived in Shanghai. Please send the company plans to me. And Abigail's going, do I tell them they've got the wrong person, or do we fuck with them? And everyone in the chat's going, fuck with them. And so Abigail starts just saying really surreal stuff like, she's high and whatnot. And I was initially, I feel very bad that we're fucking with this person. They're in Shanghai. They've gone from Hong Kong to Shanghai and they're trying to, and but then they were okay with everything she said. And then, I don't know, somehow it got around to dating. It was, the profile picture was a young, attractive Asian woman. And then Abigail said, but I'm into girls. And then she replied, so am I. And I think some people did some Google searches and they went, it's a scam. That whole I'm in Shanghai. So what they expect people to say is, you've got the wrong person. And they keep a conversation going. And they go, I'm sorry. And it's a scam. They eventually try and get money out of it. So I ended up being not guilty that we fucked around with this person because they were just a scammer, but it was a real fun scam. And they never really did anything to give away the scam, except they never stopped messaging. That was the kicker, because if you were really flying from Hong Kong to Shanghai on a business deal and were trying to contact a business partner, when someone started being all fucky, you're not going to talk to them anymore.
Maybe 2-3 times, and then that's it.
So this one's playing the long game with their scam. They're going to keep this communication. So later in the week, we might find out from Abigail if she got further messages from this person.
A couple of years ago, I was here and I got a phone call from, my phone just came alive. I got a phone call from China, and I have to tell you, I might have been on some drugs. Actually, I was on some drugs. No, I tell a lie. I was on a lot of fucking drugs.
You were on all the drugs.
Yeah. I was actually on all the drugs. I had polydosed up to my fucking eyeballs. And I was trying to write something for us to broadcast.
Right. Yes. Right. So I also just want to say to someone in the chat, someone random, MeatBig69, what the fuck are we talking about? Because I'm trying to, dude, we're talking about scammers. AIDSy is now sharing a scammer story.
Yeah. So basically, I was on the computer going, what's in the news? I go to do something, otherwise, Angry's going to be pissed. And this guy was, and then the phone rings, and I'm like, yeah. And this guy from China goes, I can't even remember what the premise was. That's how fucked I was.
Yeah.
I do remember the show went really well. The show was great. But this guy wanted me to give him my bank details.
Yeah.
And he had gotten my he had gotten my phone number, realized I was through Telstra,
Yeah.
and fucked up, and thought I was banking through HSBC.
Ah, yeah.
And I wasn't. And he kept on going, "You've got to give me your bank details."
Yeah.
And I said, No, not for a phone call. No. If you need a phone call, you need the phone company. Here, I've got their number here. Look, I'll just look it up on the Google. And so I was giving him Telstra's number. So I said, that's how he's going to fix you up, dude. You'll be fine. Don't worry about it. It's going to be great. And I'm like trying to type while this is all going on. I'm only listening to half to this guy. And he was getting more and more irate because he wanted my bank details.
Of course he did.
And I didn't click into what was going on until he said, "I've been on the phone with you, very patient, sir, for half of an hour, and you have been a triple liar." And that is a Chinese negotiating trick.
So you're a triple
It's a
liar.
bullying tactic to say you're a triple liar.
Wow.
Because what it means is that you've made either an overture or have a contract or have a treaty or something, and you've broken the agreement on several fronts. And it's to stymie what you want.
Right.
And it's to guilt them into saving their honor and atoning for their obvious dishonor. You, sir, are a triple liar. And I suddenly clicked into existence, and I went, all right, okay, this guy's clearly trying to scam me. Okay, cool. And so I'm going, maybe we could do some of this tonight. All right. So I'm just like, I've got another page up on the computer.
Got into it.
I've gone, all right, well, we don't want me to be a triple liar now, do we? So which city do I need to be in to post this money to you? Because you need my bank details. Which city's bank details? And he's going, your HSBC details. I'm new and I'm adding you guys. Real talk, you guys are legends. Oh, thanks, Meatpick69. You're nice.
I thought you'd like that. He's really getting into this. Also, I wanted to shout out Metal Maniac Matt. He's very excited to see us both going. And also, have you ever got, this is a Luxardo Maraschino cherry. Do you like these? Because I finally broke down.
Haven't seen one of those for ages.
I brought a jar of them. Wow. And it's now my rule whenever I have a whiskey or even just a boozy cocktail, I'm having one of these because they're really good.
Fair call. Why not, man? I'd go there. I've been there. So, yeah, poor old guy from China's fucking losing his fucking mind because I say, which city do you want it from? And he's I finally, and I had this guy on the phone for like an hour and a half, and this guy was just really screaming at me, and he said, just go and get your credit card. Just go and get your credit card. And I thought, wow, this is great. I know in America the mob actually does this all the time. They bully people into to getting their credit card and telling them their number. They just tell them to do it, and they use social pressure on the phone to do it. And so this guy is screaming at me to get my credit card and give him the numbers. And I go, oh yeah, okay, hang on, let me just get that. I've just got to. And so I've taken him for a little wander around the house because I needed a wee, and I thought I'd make a coffee, and I thought I'd go outside and have a smoke, and I'm just rustling through stuff as I'm going, and he heard me flush the toilet, and he's going, what was that? And I said, it's not in here. And then I've gone around the place and I'm looking, oh, I found it. Yeah, cool. And he's gone, okay, give me the numbers. And so I've given him a string of like 10 numbers. And then he said, okay, now give me the expiry date. And I gave him an expiry date of last year. And he's gone, that card's expired.
Yeah.
Oh, right. Oh, that's probably why it doesn't work at the shops, hey? He just fucking lost it. He was I don't know what he was screaming. He might have even been screaming in Mandarin. I don't know. He was fucking furious. He was really off his fuck. And then I heard another voice on the line, and then he went, oh, okay. And then the line went dead. So his supervisor obviously said, fucking kill the call.
Yeah.
Kill the call. The guy's brain dead. Kill the call. And to be fair, I was brain dead.
There are some real fun YouTube channels of people who specialize in giving scammers a hard time. And these people are frighteningly good hackers. They very slowly get into the systems of these call centers and whatnot. And when they're ready, they start showing them pictures of themselves. They go,
security cameras.
I just used your own webcams to take a picture of everyone in the call center. And they're like, what? And they delete all the files on the scammers' computers. And they're like, please, sir, please give it back. And he's going, why would I do that? Why would I do that?
No, I'm not going to do that. What I'm going to do is actually give this to the Brixton police.
Yeah.
And I've seen one of them, and he said, I'm actually going to give this to the Brixton police. And he says, no, please don't do that. He said, well, I've already given it to the Brixton police. And they all get up and leave.
I've seen one where the guy makes everyone leave the call center. It's like,
just get out.
he shows them their address on Google Street View, and then he shows them a picture taken from internal cameras in their call center, and they're just like, well, fuck. Okay, cool.
We're gone.
I just noticed Kirsten saying she thinks I'm going to eat the whole jar quite quickly. Well, if I look at the jar, it's only down to there instead. But I'm eating like half a dozen or more a week because, I don't want them to go off. So, I'm just going to.
No, they mustn't go off.
I never bought them because they're really expensive, and I thought they'll just go off. I'll never go. But I was in the bitters lab.
They don't go.
My favorite place. Well, they're encased in sugar, is what they are. And I said, "How long do these last?" And she's like, "Oh, like forever." It's just like a year, 18 months. A year, 18 months, easy. And I went, "Oh, I'm getting some then. If they last that long, I'm getting them." And it's just like, so yes.
I was going to say, I don't want him to go off. I'm going, fucking, you'd be keen.
Yeah. No, as soon as she said they last like a year, 18 months minimum, I'm like, oh, I'll get through it but now it's like a religion. It's like, okay, whenever I make a boozy cocktail, like whiskey, cognac, no, I could do it with rum. I don't normally do it with rum, but like whiskey, cognac, that sort of thing. It's like, well, stick some freaking maraschino cherries in there as well. Meat
you got to garnish, but it's not a cocktail.
Yeah, Metal Maniac Matt tells them he's homeless. I got them to hang up once because it was like there's a problem with your ANZ bank account, and I don't have an ANZ bank account. And I stayed on the line, and someone said, "Yes, sir." And I went, I'm so glad you called, because I don't want there to be a problem with my bank account, my ANZ bank account, which is a bank I definitely have an account with. So this is definitely a real problem that I'm very concerned. And they hung up while I was busy being sarcastic at them.
Yeah, because they tumbled it. I've done that very same thing, but not sarcastically. I got called up, and they said, "Oh yes, this is the Westpac Bank." It was. This is the Westpac Bank, and there's trouble with your account. Oh, is there? Oh, well, you'd better tell me what I need. What's the trouble? What do I need to do? Honey, stop dinner. Stop dinner, because I've got to do the account. I was with Mrs. Azy at the time, and she's looking at me going, and I wrote down scammer on a post-it note.
Yeah. Yeah.
And she went,
yeah. Yeah, fuck with them.
Yeah, fuck them real hard. And this guy wanted my birthday.
Yeah.
And I said, oh, I changed it. I had a scammer on the phone once for 3 hours. Oh, Chris.
That's pretty good.
Chris.
Keeping them for that long is pretty good.
Fucking well done.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. I could only keep this guy for an hour and a half. So this guy wanted to know my birthday. He wanted to know my full name. And I said, I've changed my birthday. And he went, no, you can't change your birthday. And I said, no, I've had to. You would know that because of the program. You know what I mean? The program. They made us change our names and our birth dates. You would know that because you would see that on the account. You've got my account, don't you? And I had this guy convinced I was in WetSec. He was convinced that he had a gold mine here because if he could get hold of me, he could sell it to the mob. I was going, well, and I gave him like 4 different names. And I said, which is the name you've got on the account? And he says, well, so you've got to tell me so we can verify it. And I said, oh, is it Anton Rogers? And I said, it'd be Aloysius Laplace, won't it? It's that one, isn't it? And he's going, how? And I said, well, we've been moved 6 times. I mean, you know. So I think Anton Laplace was born on the 6th of January 1969. Check that. Oh, no, hang on. That might have been Anton Rogers. Let me just check. Honey, don't boil the eggs. This guy was just getting more and more confused about my Westpac account. And of course, the reason they say the bank's name is it's a numbers game.
Yeah.
There's only 4 banks in Australia, roughly.
Yeah.
Really. And you've got a 25% hit rate of saying your bank name account, and one of them is going to be on.
Yeah. And a lot of people have accounts with more than one bank as well.
That's true. That's very true, actually. I didn't even think of that. So it's just statistics. I mean, if you can churn calls and get through and get numbers, then you're fucking home and hosed. Yeah. So I was giving this guy so many different names and so many different birthdays, and I was saying to myself, dear God, don't make me go to hell if I give him a real person's name and birthday. Because I'm the kind of guy that would accidentally do that. If I just pulled it out of my ass, it'd be real. With some poor guy in Tasmania be going, I just got scammed $50,000. My business is going to go under. So this guy finally, I finally said, you're not going to tell anyone this call happened, because who's your manager? Because I've got a special manager at the bank, and if another manager finds out about the program, I'm going to get into a lot of trouble. He said, oh, well, my manager is your manager. And I said, oh no, oh my God, what? Okay, the clouds are blue, and 4 times the raven said what? He's going, I'm sorry. I said, the clouds are blue, and 4 times the raven said what? What's the respond code? What's the fucking respond code? And he's going, I don't know. I'm going, oh, fuck. And I just dumped the phone down and ran around the house going, honey, call the cops, pack, we've got to move, we've got to go. And I get back on the phone, and fuck me, Daddy's still there going, look, no, sir, everything's fine. You just have to tell me your current name and your current birthday, right? So they must have been sweating him pretty hard, or his KPIs must have been through the toilet or something. But he was really working for his diary, and I was just going, fucking tool. But again, there was a murmur on the phone, and down went the line. His supervisor said, just kill it. It's finished. Yeah. But I had him convinced I was in witness security.
But the 2 things that make them hang up straight away is be really sarcastic, or laugh at them. Once I decided I'm going to string this guy along, and he said something that was just really obviously a scam line, and I just burst into hysterics, and I'm like, sorry, and he hung up. I'm just kidding.
You can't. Sometimes you can't help it. Sometimes you just can't help it. Sometimes they say shit, and you just go, that's not even an English sentence. Hello, my name is Pat. I'm calling from Canberra. Yeah. You're not calling from Canberra, Pat. My car is a holiday for you today. No.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. One of the Scam Buster guys I watched on YouTube, he speaks Hindi. So he's able to, when they carry on in the background, like, he usually pretends to be an old lady, because that's like their number one target. And when they say stuff in the background, he knows what they're saying. And so he'll always, after letting them go for a while, he'll just do in his old lady's voice, why did you just tell him blah, 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 blah? And the guy's like, what?
Like, what? How dare you know it? I got my hair cut locally here years and years ago, and boss of the house walked in to get his haircut next to me, and I said, hey, big guy, how you doing? And he said, good. And they said, oh, is this your son? And I went, no, this is my boyfriend. And these guys are speaking in Vietnamese and going, gay, gay. And I think the word for gay in Vietnamese is gay. And my hair cutter said, I was just talking to her. Yes, Stella, I am. I'm so sorry I wasn't there when you came to visit me. They'd thrown me out, and I was in the process.
That's Abigail who came to visit you, or Annette. Sorry, it was Annette. Stella lives in Western Australia. If Stella had come all the way from Kalgoorlie to visit you in hospital and you weren't there, you would be in serious trouble, young man. You would be in serious trouble.
It was Annette.
It was Annette, who's just come from Melbourne. So
Stella comes from Kalgoorlie.
Stella works in a mining thing in Kalgoorlie, yeah.
I wasn't in hospital when you came over. Here you go, Stella. Good to see you too. Annette, I'm really sorry for not being in hospital when you came to see me. I was going to tell everyone, but I just got thrown out the night before. And they told her that I'd been thrown out a couple of days before.
Yeah, that whole thing was really confusing. Because I'd talked to you in hospital only a day before. So when she came back saying they said she'd been gone for days, I was like, that's not right.
That's not real.
Right.
Yeah. But it was weird, though, because they came around at night. Because they don't ever kick you out in the morning. Okay. But they came around at night and said, they said, pack up and fuck off. And I'm going, now? And they went, yes. We've got someone coming up from ICU in 20 minutes. I'm going, okay, I'll get my shit together and go. And I stole as much as I possibly could. I had bags full of shit that I wasn't allowed to have. And it was great because I had wound dressings for days. Because that shit is expensive when you buy it from the chemist.
Absolutely.
And I just, as I was doing this, one of the nurses that was really unimpressed that I was being thrown out, gave me a bag of fucking expensive wound dressing stuff and said, you've been needing these for about a week. And I'm looking at them going, there's 3 weeks worth of shit in here. And she just fucking packed this bag, fucking
threw it all in there.
Stuff in. And another nurse came up and said, oh, you need diapers, don't you? Because you're incontinent. I went, yeah, I do. And she's going like, here you go, and gave me this fucking huge bag of diapers. And I'm going, sweet.
Nice.
Yeah, so a few of the nurses were really nice about it and were really pissed that I was being thrown out. And they said,
really quickly, our new friend MeatPick69 is going, oh, hospital, what happened? My friend, you want to go on YouTube and find the AD Code Grey channel that we set up, like, I don't know, 10 years ago, that includes his stage show, Code Grey, that tells you the most outrageous medical misadventures you'll never believe, and they're all true. They're all true. So that's my recommendation to you. After this stream, go find or sometime tomorrow maybe, go find the AD Code Grey channel on YouTube and get yourself an insight into really fucking extreme medical misadventures.
I saw Alan Bro on my tram again about a month ago now. And he's gone, Azy, it's good to see you. And I've gone, Alan, you've lost even more fucking weight. You're looking fucking great, man. He says, you haven't just come out of hospital again, have you? And I went, yeah, man.
Yes.
And he's gone, what the fuck is it with you? You're the most sickest alive person I know. And I go, yeah, I know. It is. It's like that. Yeah. And he goes, can you give me the short version? I went, sort of, yes. And
I just want to explain to MeatPix, Code Grey, there are various codes for various incidents in hospital. Code blue, code red, code black, someone's dead. Code grey is a patient's being a bit antsy. And
it's about to punch on.
Yeah. I actually, I've been doing my sleep stuff. I did my sleep study and now I've got a CPAP machine. When I was at the private thing in I forget which suburb, it's just over there. But anyway, I mean, it's a combined hospital and consulting rooms for private practitioners. And I'm going there, and I actually heard they didn't say Code Grey, they said
Respond Grey.
Respond Grey, yeah. And I'm like, someone's not happy. Someone's in this hospital,
lost their shit.
Someone in this hospital's not happy. But yeah, they said grey, so a patient was being a bit violent somewhere.
But the last time I was in hospital, I got stuck in a ward with a whole bunch of psychogerries. And that's a shorthand term for psychotic geriatric patients. And it's usually older folks who are often senile, often got dementia, or are batshit crazy.
Yeah.
Or a bit of both, or all three. And I was in the room with two girls who were batshit crazy. And I was like, oh yeah, shit happens. And in our ward, there were literally 4 people, 3 girls and 1 guy, and every breath they would scream. Every breath they would scream as loud as they could. And you see the nurses go, oh, fucking Henry's going off. Oh, Agatha's going off. And then they had the walkers. The screamers. The screamers had it all worked out to do it in shifts. Because you can only scream for 6 hours at a time before you're exhausted, and then they go back to sleep. And so then, so one would go for 6 hours and then crash, and then there'd be like a minute's silence, and then the next one would start up. And this would happen 24 hours a day. And first couple of nights in there, I was going, I'm going to go nuts in here. And then you zone it out. And I said to the nurses, how do you cope? And she said, one of them said, oh, I'm ashamed to say it, but you just zone it out. After all, it just goes away, which is terrible, because some of them could be in abject terror/pain, and you just don't fucking mind. And I'm just going, okay. And you just zone it out. And they also, the thing that they've got to really watch for is the walkers. Bloody oath.
That is a real ad from a mid-20th century medical magazine for prompt control of senile agitation, Thorazine.
I am senilely agitated all the time.
I know. We want to whack you up with the Thorazine gun. Just zap you up with a Thorazine gun. It's that like there was a short-lived animated series about 10 years ago called God, the Devil, and Bob. That's where God and the devil try to convince this one guy that they're real. And at one point, because he keeps doing weird shit, he ends up in a mental institution. And when God visits him, he goes, how's it going, Bob? And Bob goes, I tell you what, God, me likey Thorazine. It's just like...
I got whacked up on Thorazine one time.
Yeah.
Because I got stabbed by another patient.
Right.
Now, it was a fuck up of extreme proportions. I was in the children's ward. I'd actually gone in for gastro surgery, and this kid grabbed a scalpel in the oncology unit. He was an oncology patient. He grabbed a scalpel, and he didn't want any more fucking chemo, and he didn't want any more fucking radiation, and he fucking meant it. And so he grabbed his scalpel and ran down to the other end of the children's ward and started stabbing the children. And obviously we weren't real happy about that. And he got me in the leg, because I seen him sort of coming, and I sort of crouched ready to fucking give him one, but he just went whack straight in my leg, and it was like, oh, those scalpels go right in, don't they?
Yeah. That's what they do. They go right in.
I was, in fact, the last person to get stabbed, because security and the nurses got to him by that point, and they got him, and this scalpel was just sitting in my leg doing this, and I'm going, that is the most fucked up thing I think I've ever seen. And the weird part was, I'd actually been stabbed before, right?
Yes.
But I'd never seen a fucking implement move. And I was thinking, is it my muscles twitching? And then the nurses went, oh, fuck. And they never swear. Nurses never swear. They always go, oh, wow, when something is very bad. They go, oh, wow. But these nurses went, oh, fuck. And then they Met called me, and this is when Met called had just started. They just started in Australia, and 20 doctors are in the room, and I'm going, what's going on? There's kids screaming in this ward, and one of the doctors said, okay, that's it, Thorazine, stat dose, all of them now. And I'm going, I've heard of this. I was only 13 at the time. And these nurses came around, bang, 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 because there were like 8 of us in this kids' ward, and I got 9, and I'm going, oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah, oh fuck yes, absolutely, more of that. And the doctors and folks got in this portable X-ray machine, which I never knew even existed. I thought you had to go and they had to put you. No, they can bring it around to you, but they had to bring it up from emergency, and they put it over my leg. And what they were worried about was they were worried that it had either gone into or next to or had nicked an artery, which was why it was wobbling. And in fact, what had happened was it had gone through a fairly important vein, and they said, "Oh, okay, that's not life-threatening. We can fix that." And the way they fixed it, the fuckers, was they grabbed out the scalpel, got the stapler, and went whack, 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 and I'm going, oh, that really hurts. And they said, not for long. Morphine. Thorazine.
Yes. Oh yeah. So our man Meatbix asked what what's the medical definition of Thorazine? I feel like you'd know that. What
Thorazine
type of drug is
Thorazine?
It's an antipsychotic.
Sedative. Okay, it was invented by the Germans for shell shock patients after the First World War, when the shell shock patients would get violent. And so what they would do is they would give them this Thorazine that would calm them down and make them compliant and massive muscle relaxer. Just give me 2 seconds.
Yeah. So, the sort of things AIDS is talking about with shell shock, for people who aren't familiar with it, that's what they call post-traumatic stress disorder after World War One, because it's literally a combination of a physical injury and a psychological injury, because concussion blasts in war can give you brain damage. But of course, the horrors of war can give you profound psychological illness as well. When you can combine physical injury to your brain with psychological injury to your brain, that is a bad fucking recipe right there.
What would often happen was the officers of these men would come to visit them in hospital as a kindness. And they would say to these guys who had been in fucking trench warfare for 2 years, being gassed and shelled and what the fuck else ever, and then wounded, they would say, buck up, son, we'll have you fixed in back with your unit in no time. And they would lose their shit, because you're taken wounded from the trenches to a clean fucking hospital where nice nurses and nice doctors have been giving you pain relief and a dry place to sleep, and you're not getting shot at every day. And then the officer who is in your brain attached to making you go over the top and being shot at, comes around and says, oh, you'll be back being shot at in no time. It's like, no. And your brain just automatically goes into fuck this shit. And you've got a whole bunch of militarily trained guys going, I don't think so. What I think I'll do instead is kill fucking everyone around me and run the fuck away. So they had to develop this drug that made them realise they weren't at the front line, and also calm them down, and also take all the fight out of them.
Well, that's the most
and
thing
that's
you
what
want is them to
Thorazine
just calm
does.
down.
It came back into fashion in the 60s, in the 50s for dementia, but in
Senile
the
agitation
60s for LSD patients who were having very bad trips. They would have Thorazine available to shoot them up if the spiders were eating them. And they had knives. Cops used to, in LA and San Francisco, used to carry around Thorazine with them to shoot up people who were having bad trips and people who were having an experience known as the delirium tremens. Now, a lot of the young people here won't know what that is.
alcohol withdrawal.
I'm happy about that. When we were kids, me and Angry saw this. You saw a wino on the DTs, didn't you?
Yeah, alcohol
it's
withdrawal.
Terrifying. It's fucking terrifying.
Basically, your brain, if you are an alcohol abuser, your brain becomes dependent on alcohol. And if you are cut off from the alcohol, which people will often do, as I said, particularly with homeless folk who are doing it, for their own good, they would go into a deep traumatic shock known as delirium tremens.
Your actual body.
Because you would shake and convulse, and it was terrible.
Hallucinations.
The DTs are terrible.
And with it comes emotional anxiety in the form of terror. And sometimes they call the whiskey critters. And a lot of times you get guys actually picking at their own skin because they would be thinking insects would be coming out of them. You'd get guys trying to cut the snakes coming out of their arms.
It's basically bad hallucinations.
Horrifying to see.
And I actually saw a craft beer in a bottle shop once called Delirium Tremens, and I thought, classy guys, classy. Class
act.
Hey, it's bedtime. I'm going to bed.
Well, I was just going to say, in Australia in 1983, the government said you must put vitamin B and vitamin D into all the alcohol you sell, and you don't get the DTs anymore. No one gets it anymore because of that. And I know adults who've never heard what that is, never seen it, and I'm really happy about that.
It's also like with our various lockdowns and restrictions, bottle shops have never been shut down, and a lot of people have sarcastically said, "Oh, that's an essential service." And a lot of people said it kind of is.
Actually.
For people who aren't absolutely alcohol dependent, it's a kind of social buffer type of thing. But there are a bunch of people who are alcohol dependent, and if you cut them off, that's a catastrophe. And also, by the way, this is not one or two people. This is thousands and thousands of people.
This is a percentage.
In every major city, thousands of people who will either die or end up in critical care because you cut off their alcohol supply.
This is a percentage of our population, right?
We can't do it.
Cigarettes, alcohol is the most abused drug in Australia.
It kills more people. But,
it kills more people than cigarettes.
It's just me who spent the first hour of the stream just mixing my own cocktails and drinking.
Yeah, but
But
at the same time, you're not sitting there getting fucking hammered because, you're fucking trying not to face problems. I mean, okay, yes, that's a full stocked cabinet.
That's two drink carts over there. But again, if you come back in a month, it will be all the same bottles.
It'll still be there. Yeah.
It'll be the same bottles because I just drink a little bit of. But they're all different things because I like to have different things.
Yeah, but anyway, it's the difference between drinking for celebration and drinking for coping. And as an addict of various different substances myself, I fucking know the difference, and I don't think we need to worry about angry.
No, okay, because I've and also Kirsten pointing out how I have an amateur collection because particularly her gin and whiskey collection leaves mine in the shade. I actually have more rum than Kirsten, but I have just a minuscule amount of the rums and whiskies that Kirsten has. But straight behind me, I've been working from home for, when did I start? Like April, so like 15, 16 months I've been working from home. With that, I work just behind me here. There's a laptop set up there, and I sit next to that all day. I have not had a single drink during the day, which is hilarious because if I'd been working in the city in the office, I would have. I would have had lunches, like with a friend or something, where I would have had a drink at lunchtime. But sitting here next to all that, I've not had a single drink during the day.
In almost every office job I've ever had, because I was always junior, every lunchtime the bosses had come back 2 hours, 2 hour lunch, 2.5 hour lunch, and pissed.
Yep.
Every lunchtime.
Because
we've got a business meeting with such and such company or such and such department, and then come back hammered every fucking day.
Yeah.
And they'd be buying or trying to get a client, or they were being the client, and they'd come home pissed because that was just the way it was done back in the day. I don't think they do it much anymore, but they still do it.
But the 70s and a little bit into the 80s. Like I've worked with various government departments, and whenever you work in a government department, you find someone who started there at 60, like they're 60 now, and they actually started working in the public service when they were 16 and whatnot. And I got stories from guys who in the 70s, they were going, oh yeah, lunchtime, we just get fucking hammered. And there were all these illegal strip clubs in the Melbourne Sea. There's actually less strip clubs in the Melbourne CBD now than there was in the 70s. And it's legal now, and it was illegal in the 70s. And they would just go like, yeah, we'd just be going to strip clubs. And we coming back after lunch, we'd be fucking scuttered.
Fucked. I mean, you'd have to get your KPIs, which didn't exist, done in the morning because there'd be no working after lunch. And everyone knew that because the boss was shat. I worked in offices where the bosses would actually have to lie on their desks because they were fucked. And if they didn't get a sleep in, they couldn't drive home.
Yeah. You watch Mad Men, Don Draper and them drink. That's real. That's real.
People used to, when you'd go to someone's office, they would offer you a drink.
Yeah, they'd have 10
o'clock in the morning, they're going scotch or gin. And you'd fucking be sitting there knocking back scotches at 10 o'clock in the fucking morning. I used to go to job sites with my old man in the early 80s. Toward the end of the 80s, they started knocking it off because it was starting to get dangerous. And in the 90s, it really went away. There was no drugs, no alcohol on site. There was still drugs. They were still smoking joints. Like somebody hit their thumb with a hammer and they'd fucking smoke a joint to get rid of the pain. But, most of the drugs were gone by the 90s and the booze was pretty much on the way out. But, I mean, fucking wintertime in the construction industry is quiet. It's fucking quiet. It is fuck all to do. So you get these guys at Smoko fucking go down the bottlers and get fucking cases and cases full of piss. And you get some work done, and then you just sit around all day just drinking piss and throwing the balls into the trenches, into the drainage trenches, which got filled up with dirt. In 50 years when they need to be cleaned, there's going to be these plumbers, going, why is this broken fucking glass in this trench?
Yeah.
And it's like, well.
Sorry, I'm getting too invested in this conversation. I really need to go to bed.
Okay.
But it's such a good conversation. But I don't know what you're going to be doing on Thursday. I'll be back on Thursday. I won't be on tomorrow night. What are Mrs. Angry and I watching at the moment? Oh, it's this new Netflix series called Shadow and Bone, which is, for the last 20 years, all young adult fiction has been young adult comes of age and has some mysterious power that's going to save the world. This is another one of them. And it's set in a mythical world that's kind of like 18th, 19th century Europe, but there's magic and shit, and the central character has some power that's going to save the world. So there's a bunch of that shit happening. So we're watching that. I'll probably be back on Thursday night. And as Fox of Fate was saying, because he convinced me to buy some stuff from a distillery that's in the Dandenongs called Lux. They had all these little sample bottles, so I got like 5 sample. I'll have all the little sample bottles, which were only like $10 or $12, and then I'll decide which of their things I like, and I'll buy a bigger bottle. But so that's enough tasting bottles that I'll get like really fucking hammered doing that. And Durkastani on Twitch, you're just in time to say goodnight because we're going to bed.
Thank you so much for letting me be on your device.
And Meek Bixu's first time he's seen us doing a live stream, he loves it, so he's going to do it. So love yous all. We'll see you another time. All.
Please subscribe to Angry because he's good in that, and I'll try and get back to you on Thursday.
Yeah, and Shay on Twitch, just in time to say goodnight as well. Night all. Be back on Thursday.